Okay. All right. So yes. So she did a couple of things. So one of the ways that you help build motivation is to consider the situation and to consider the people that you're working with. What kind of things did Kim do to make sure that she changes up her program to suit the interests of the children?
Obviously, she knew that the kids would coming in would be flat just by the state of the gym, and decided, well, let's clean that up as best as possible, and that's helped help them out with the motivation there. The
Yep.
other thing I noticed, I know it's probably more excuse me, a personal characteristic, was about the upbeat attitude, but it's also borderline situational because it's trying to ignore the factors of the gym and just trying to, so the kids don't think about that at all.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing about doing the upbeat and giving feedback and encouragement is that encouraging environment will want somebody to actually participate in the activities that are in front of them. So, okay, good, James. So in terms of fixing up the environment, clean the gym, uh, took down the old curtains, put posters up. Another thing she did was introduce rap music. So there's two things about that. Music is an energizing thing, so it made the environment more energizing. The second thing about that is it tapped into the children. What do you like? And they like, I like to exercise to rap music. Then she's like, gold. Well, let's include rap music. Okay, Ashley's back on. How you going, Ash? Sorry, we went.
Good,
We went.
thanks.
Okay, I'll just put this a bit smaller. All right. What does she do to identify their motives? Kind of have to, like, regardless whether she identified their motives or not, they had to participate in it. So whether they liked it or not, they still had to do the program. So she did a couple of things to make sure they were happier with the program that was in front of them. Chris, do you have anything down for that point?
Yeah, so I sort of put, I'm not sure if it's right or not, but that she was sort of making the fitness fun.
Yeah.
And wasn't just forcing them to do it. She was trying to make them, like, give them goals to work towards and give them points for improving their fitness.
Yep.
Rather than just sort of making it dull and boring and forcing them to do something they're not too keen on.
Perfect. And she did ask, she said, what do you want? What sports are you interested in? The old basketball, volleyball, standard sports, they kind of said, no, we actually want to do tennis and we want to do this. So she tapped into what they wanted. Good.
The setting of goals as well. While not every single student would be motivated by it, at least it gives them like something to aim for at the end of the class. So yeah, just rather than just going through another PE class and then ticking that box and moving on, actually giving them something to aim for.
Yeah. And the thing that I loved about the program that she designed was the program was designed to identify individual improvement. So regardless whether they were the slowest kid or the largest kid, as long as they showed the most improvement, they got a reward. So an average student who would never actually be recognised for being the quickest in the class got an award because they showed the most improvement. And that is something that I really encourage anybody working, particularly with children or any populations. It's about where are they at now and how have they improved, how much have they improved from their past week or the past month. It's so much more rewarding rather than saying, you know what, you're still the slowest kid in the class. All right. Change the environment. So we have said she got the cleaning the gym at lunchtime, after lunchtime, sorry. Got curtains put down. It's nothing like going to a dirty gym. So she got it cleaned up. She also got posters and things that are attractive and promote physical activity. So can anybody add anything to that, how she changed the environment? Only other thing I think, James, that you mentioned before, she did have a more of a rewarding environment, encouraging environment by giving feedback. So, all right, and then it says leaders have a big influence on one's motivation. So what did Kim do? We've said she was upbeat and she was encouraging. What else did she do?
Rewarding a student of the week for someone that put in the best effort.
Yeah, yeah. And acknowledge the person for their efforts and make them feel good about themselves. Good. I think that's pretty much what all. And you know what? She showed interest and she showed that she cared about them, and that she will work with them rather than this is a curriculum, this is what you'll be doing, tick box. You know, I can't tell you how painful it was being. I did a few casual years of teaching when I finished my first degree, and I was at Randwick, Randwick Girls High. I used to go to class, and there would be 13 of them. So there's only a class of, 27? 13 of them would come and give me a note about how they can't participate in class, and the general reason always was, oh, I've got my periods or whatever. And I'd be like, okay, well, it would happen week after week, and I'd be with the students going, I think you need to go to the doctors because you must be bleeding to death. You seem to have your monthlies every week. And they'd go, oh, miss, but I just can't do it. And I could see them start getting really nervous. And until I tapped in and say, why is it that you're not enjoying PE class? And a lot of them said, I'm just not skilled, and I get embarrassed in front of my, the peers around me. So I had a very different understanding about working within a classroom setting by actually going, what's going on? Rather than saying, oh, they're just being lazy, there was actually a legit reason why they were so self-conscious to participate in sport. So showing that you care, and by me saying, oh, okay, well, let's have a look at how we can make this more comfortable. Without doing that, they're not going to participate. So, yes. And then the last strategy that she did really well was that goal setting. So behaviour modification and change. She introduced the goal setting program. By using goal setting, it promotes positive behaviour, and that's doing exercise and participating in class. So that's one of the things she did, and the other thing she did was made sure she encouraged participation and positive behaviours. So that's that. What else did I done that? This next bit was about the attribution theory. What did I get you to do? Sorry, I'm just getting the class up. Attribution. Okay, cool. It's on this sheet. So part of that was, I find it really interesting when people explain why they're successful or not, the excuses they give. And the attribution theory has a look at the three categories that you can put the explanations under, and the explanation can go under several categories, but we're looking at stability, locus of causality, whether you caused it or was caused externally, or locus of control, whether it's in your control, out of your control. So I'll just quickly give you some examples of each. And what I do find moving forward and working in my environments as a sports psych and as a lecturer and a teacher is listening to people's excuses as to why they're successful or not. And I think tapping into that, you have a really good understanding of how that person sees themselves and how the person evaluates themselves, and if they evaluate themselves realistically, and how self-aware are they. So for example, and you can write examples while I talk you through this, a stable factor might be something like, I won because I'm talented. I got a really great mark in an exam because I have a high IQ. I mean, these characteristics don't change. I'm really good at basketball because I'm the tallest on the court. As opposed to an unstable factor, I won because I got a lucky break. I won because their star player was out. I won because the referees were on our side. Or I lost because the referee hated me. So they're all unstable factors. Then we have locus of causality in your internal. So I actually caught myself doing this as a kid. So saying I learned how to shoot because of all my hard work, I tended to do I learned how to shoot because I had a good coach. Okay, so I've actually externalized the onus of, hey, you can shoot the ball, to an external factor rather than, hang on, I learned how to shoot because I put all that hard work in. So having to tap into that stuff. So I'll give you another example. I failed the exam because I didn't study. as opposed to I failed the exam because I had a really bad teacher. Okay, and then some examples of locus of control. In your control, I lost because I didn't have the right race plan, or my strategy was crappy, as opposed to I lost because I didn't have the good equipment. I can't afford the equipment, or referees were on our side today. So again, it's out of your control. So I don't know. I really have found it really interesting to hear how people explain why they are successful or not. I really, particularly with the athletes, even the ones in Rio now, they explain how they perform in that. I always have a look at, okay, who are they attributing their success to? Themselves or an external reason? Is it an internal cause or an external? Are they in control? Are they not in control? And is it a stable factor? So that I can, because when people explain their behaviour by stable, internal, and in their control factors, they are going to experience pride when they are successful, but they also experience shame when they're not successful, which is really important, particularly when you should be actually looking at yourself and how you contributed to the situation rather than shifting the blame. Does that make sense, guys?
I got one question. The
Yes,
two
John.
examples that you've used on here for
Yep.
locus of causality and locus of control,
Yeah.
we'll use the internal ones for now.
Yep.
You've got locus of control, I lost because I did not work hard enough, which the opposite would be I won because I worked hard enough. And then the locus of causality, you've got I learned how to shoot because of all my hard work. They sound very similar, and yet they're in different sort of definitions.
Yes. So your statements, so that statement, so I learned how to shoot because of all my hard work, can go under locus of causality internal, locus of control in your control, because you're in control of how much effort you put in. And it could also go under a stable factor, particularly if you are always someone who puts a lot of effort into. So you get what I mean? So one statement's not just going to go under one heading. It can go under a multiple amount of headings, depending on whether it's stable, locus of causality, and locus of control.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get my head around the difference between the causality and control. Stable one I can sort of understand. The causality and control are very sort of similar.
Okay. Did you cause it versus can you control it?
Okay, so causality, it seems maybe it's a bit before the event, all the hard work you've done sort of before the event, possibly?
Yeah.
And control was sort of during the event? Is that, I mean, I know there's more to it.
Yeah, actually that's a really good, that is a good way of looking at it. So if we look at an exam situation, I studied and so I passed. Locus of causality in your control, well, I had all the knowledge because I studied, so I passed. So yeah, that's another way of looking at it. That's good.
Okay, yep.
But really, I mean, the way I look at it, how are they explaining, is it an internal cause, external, or could they control it, or is it a factor like a referee where you can't control? And that's where a lot of, and I hear lots of kids will blame other people for why they lost, or some people will blame themselves for why they won. So it'd be interesting to see how people evaluate that. I'm going to share my screen with you guys.
Hey Karen, I've just got a question.
Yeah, Chris?
It's Ash. Sorry, I've turned my camera off.
Sorry, mate.
I've turned my camera off just because I'm walking to school to pick up the kids, so just trying to save data. But when does humility factor into that? Like, just being humble, rather like not taking the credit for achieving something because, well, for a team sport instance, you know that 11 players on a soccer field make the game happen, not just the one person that scores the goal. Like, is that still deflecting attention from yourself, not wanting to take credit when you're humble? Like,
Yeah. So, example, that's hard. That girl said to me, oh my God, I lost the game because I missed my last shot. And I was like, hang on a minute, let's look at the game realistically. The game goes for 4 quarters. the team didn't get us in a situation, actually put you in that situation to have to take that shot. So you can't entirely blame yourself for the loss.
Yeah.
So it depends on your confidence. We should be actually sort of attributing successful failure to, if you're on a team and individual factors. How did you contribute? What were you in control of? What did you cause? But also, as a team, how did that environment influence the outcome? But yeah, that's a really good question. I do find, and as a kid, I had a coach who said, I played one year and I missed out on the state team. And then next year later, I made the state team, and the coach said to me, and I worked my ass off, by the way, and that coach was no longer in the selection panel, and I made the team. And she said to me, the reason why you made the team was because of her. And I kind of said, hang on a minute, one, you're not on the selection panel anymore, and two, I worked my ass off to make that team. So, I don't know. I guess for me now, when I judge, particularly when I'm working with athletes, I really listen to their excuses as to why or why not they're successful. It gives me a really good understanding of where their head's at, and I always try and work towards what is in your control, what can you do to better your performance. I don't know, Ash, if that helps answer your question.
Probably the other thing.
That helps, thanks.
Did you say
thing on
Okay. Sorry, James.
No, I was just going to say the other thing on that note was you can be outwardly humble, but inside you'll know, you could have a different feeling inside, then you're not going to say it outwardly. You're not going to say, I won the game for you and all the other teammates are going to hate you for it. But you could actually genuinely feel that inside, and that's where someone in the sports psych field would actually need to dig that out, the actual feeling inside, rather than just what they're saying. Like what you hear at the press conferences after footy games or the Olympics or something, they won't even give themselves credit if they've kicked, say, 10 goals in the game.
Yeah.
They'll talk about all the opposition, their teammates, when I'm just pretty sure deep inside they're pretty stoked with their own performance.
Absolutely. I saw one of the girls, what event, is it McKeon? She just swam. She obviously didn't swim the best race and she didn't medal. And the commentator grabbed her straight after with a microphone in her face going, how do you feel about that performance? And you could just see her eyes started welling with water. And all she could get was not good. And then you could see her going, where's somebody to support me because I can't handle it. So she experienced shame because she didn't get through what she wanted to, her race plan, her what she had control over. She obviously let something slip. So okay, are we good to move on, guys? Yep. Okay. Now, case study, I think we're up to Dave. Did you get to read about Dave? God bless Dave. Let me share my screen. Oh, that must be the other one. Okay, so I guess the question about this, and some of you guys contributed to, so I'll have a look at that stuff. What were your ideas to help Dave? Stop sharing. I'll start. One of the big things that he had wrong with his approach was the way he looked at the world. He was quite negative, wasn't he? So he really needed to have a different way of looking at it. He needed to have productive thoughts. He needed to have optimistic and more with how he explains himself in his sport. To say that he was unsuccessful because of him rather than the situation, like when you go up a level, why would his goals still maintain the same? And that's the problem. So he set himself up to fail. So the more he sets these high bars, the more he's going to fail. Every time he fails, it smashes his confidence, and it ends up being a real vicious cycle for him. Have you guys got any ideas of some strategies that you put in place?
So I was sort of thinking of having him change his goals to not just be finishing first, but to better his own performance. So
Perfect.
maybe finish at a faster time on certain courses, or improve his style on a choppier course so he can get through it faster or something like that, rather than focusing on getting in the top 3, work his way up slowly and check those goals to keep his motivation high, because he's hitting smaller targets, I guess.
Perfect, Chris. He's got to change his goals. So you've got to move from an outcome goal to a task-orientated goal. More about performance goals. So for me, and this is what I have a Paralympian who's actually going to go, is leaving the country very soon. She used to, I think when she was at Beijing, she had a terrible experience, didn't perform to her best, and the reason being is she was outcome focused. She was only worried about getting on the podium rather than how to get on the podium. So we've spent a good 8 years working together, and God, she's performing so well. But the reason being is because she now, instead of going at the start line and thinking about the medal, she's thinking about, got to get this done, this done, this done, and being orientated with the task that she executes properly. When you think about outcome, you've got no plan of attack. That's why I always say when people go, what's your goal? And they'll tell me, it's like, how are you going to get there? When people can't answer that, that's when you end up setting yourself up to fail. And this is what he's done. He's set outcome goals every time he doesn't hit the top 3. Of course he's going to be upset because he hasn't reached his goal.
Could you start back to square one and just try and work out why he enjoys skiing, why he does skiing, and just because everyone takes up a sport for a different reason, and then if you get good enough, you eventually forget that reason because you're trying to get to a certain level, and if you don't get there, you can get frustrated. But if you can get back to square one, then he can get back to enjoying it, and he actually might perform better because he's enjoying it. He's doing it for different reasons.
Absolutely. Find out why he started the sport. Why did he get obsessed with his sport? Why is he in his sport? A lot of the girls that I've been working with in a team sport right before Rio, maybe last year, end of last year, when the hard time was coming, where the squads are getting selected but not finalised. They didn't actually finalise till June this year, so it was freaking hell. But they were at a stage where they're like, Karen, I hate it. I don't want to come. And it was about going back to, well, why did you start the sport? What was the motives to why you began it? And I'd be like, I did it because I loved it. And it's like, okay, we've got to get the love back then. What is it that you need to do? The big factor for all of them was to not worry about what the coach is saying, just to be in the moment and enjoy the sport for what it is. The little simple things. But you're right, James. It's like finding the real motives. So why did you start it? Let's get that passion back. But he's not going to be able to get the passion back if he's setting those unrealistic goals. So it all comes in a package. The other thing that he mentioned, did you hear his excuses about the wrong ski wax? And so there it goes back to attribution. What's in his control, what's out? He was quick to say, the reason why I lost was the wrong ski wax. He also mentioned that he either skis a safe, really safe pathway, or he rushes that he ends up skiing uncontrollably. And he mentioned in brackets, it said something about how he hates, he struggles in the chopped up snow. I'd be highlighting that, and I'd be practicing in the chopped up snow. So when he gets to competition, he's ready for it. Rather than having to cry about it and saying it's too difficult, he should go, I'm ready for this, I'm expecting chopped up snow, and this is how I'm going to attack it. And that's all about being comfortable, about being uncomfortable. Sorry, James.
No, I was just going to say that there was a cricketing example. Sachin Tendulkar used to be, he was the best cricketer in the world. He had a weakness, and it was, I can't remember which shot it was, but it was his weakness. And so all the teams would just target that weakness. But the genius that he just kept practicing, working on that weakness. That ended up becoming his strength. And then everything else, like that just made him an even better cricketer when all the other teams were targeting his weakness. And he just had a whole different perspective rather than worrying about his weakness. He managed to turn that into a strength.
That's what sport is, It's about strategy. And that's what I say to the girls, like they're prepping to go into, I think, water polo has their first game tomorrow. And I'm like, right, here's the game plan. Who are you marking? How are you going to shut them down? How are you going to make them look silly? How are you going to take advantage of them? How are you going to make yourself look good? That's it. It's like playing chess. You make a move, I'll make a move. But the person that ends up winning is the one who has the best strategy at the end of the game. Smart cricketer. Like, you know, you go into the game with your weapons, what you're strong at, and you've got to be working and training on those weaknesses, so that when you get to a competition, that people don't go, yep, sweet, I know what you can't. I'm going to shut you down. So, good. All right, that's really all today was. I'm going to send out an email, maybe put you into groups. I'm not sure how many people we have actively participating. I'm going to go check. How many have we got? I just got Chris. Oh, Clifton is also active. I might put you guys into a group together. So we'll finalise that next week. Has anybody thought about the population you might want to target? Be your target population? No. Okay. All right. We'll do that next week. Maybe have a look at the headings. So we have children, women, elite, Indigenous, youth. You could do adolescent, females, whatever you want. So I'll give you the opportunity to have a look at it this week, and then next week let's try and get you into a group together and get you started on that. But you won't be presenting. You tell me when you want to present. Basically, I just need it before week 11, and that's it. So, and I'll show you how to get that done anyway. So, okay.
Cool. Awesome.
All right, guys. I will
Thank
see you
you.
next week. Next week, do week 3. You got to do week 3 work. You're going to watch Michael Jordan to the max. Okay, I've put a clip in there. Watch as much as what you want. It's actually really quite interesting. And then we'll talk about my MJ and his psychological profile. There's some questionnaires I want you to do too, okay?
Cool.
So read through that stuff and get through it. All right.
Sweet.
Sounds good.
Okay.
No, thanks,
Thank
guys.
See you, James. See you, Chris. See you, Ash.
See you next week, guys.
Okay, bye.
See ya.